Okay. So, if all the men in this class could please stand up. Well, congratulations. You make $1 for every 75 cents women earn. You do not have to work 55 hours a week or more to be taken seriously or be appreciated. You do not have to stress to make that CEO position. Opportunities given in the workplace are inadequate to men, often leaving women behind. Today I will be explaining about the glass ceiling, the pay gap, and the glass escalator. The glass ceiling is the invisible barrier that prevents women from reaching the executive suite. A quote according to James M. Helsing, author of Essentials of Sociology, published in 2007, said, "The researchers have identified a pipeline that leads to the top, the marketing cells, and the production positions that directly affect corporate bottom line. Men who take the CEO position see women with a lack of leadership skills. Therefore, men offer women jobs within the human resource professions. This does not allow them to bring in corporate offer, and without bringing corporate profits, women are not seen as successful employees. Women in the workforce are also less likely to work full-time schedule and more likely to leave the labor force for larger periods of time than men. Further surprising women's wages. Even men with children earn more, whereas women lose earnings. Now I will be talking about the pay gap. Pay gap, which I mentioned earlier, women make 75 cents to every dollar a man makes. According to General Accountability Office, reported the weekly earnings of a full-time working woman were about 3/4 of a man's during 2001. Regardless of occupation, industry, race, marital status, and job tenure, women in the workplace earn an average of 80 cents for every dollar earned by men. After accounting for so many external factors, it seems that still at the root of all men inherit annual bonus just for being men, said U.S. Rep. Carolyn Maloney. Now I would be talking about the glass escalator. Glass escalator allows men to be given higher level positions and more desirable work assignments. Sociologist Michelle examined a national database containing career info in more than 12,000 men collected over 15 years. She found that men were uniformly advantaged in female occupations. But even though male nurses, grade school teachers, and librarians may experience some contempt in the larger society, they are more likely than women to be encouraged to become administrators. According to Bureau of Census in 2002, 69% of single women and 61% of married women were in the paid labor force. For example, in World War I, women were the backbone of the assembly line. No longer is the woman associated only with the role of homemaker. Instead, millions of women, married or single, with or without children, are in the workplace. In conclusion, now we can see that there is a difference in opportunities with the pay gap, the glass ceiling, and the glass escalator. between men and women. We can work together to make the workplace more equal and make the difference disappear.
So, Carrie, what did you think?
Well, I personally thought you had a really good opening. You definitely got everybody involved, and you asked the question in such a way that I don't think there's a guy in the room that wouldn't stand up because, you don't want to admit that you're not a guy, right? So it gets everybody involved. There's not people that aren't raising their hand or whatever. And you really made everyone think about the topic early on by, telling them exactly what the pay gap was between men and women, and just kind of making people aware of, half the class is guys, half the class is girls. It was a good way to bring everyone into it. I liked that you previewed exactly what you're going to talk about, but I think for a persuasive speech, it was a great factual claim, but I would have liked to hear maybe a little bit of a solution that we could employ, or maybe some reasons for why things have become the way they are a little more. You kind of touched on at the end with the World War I, why women got into the workplace and things. That was interesting. I think you could have used a little bit more of that. A little bit more eye contact would have just helped your presentation a little bit. You were a little reliant on the cards. And I think if you pick up the rhythm of your speech just a little bit, it would have made it a little easier to grasp as we were listening. But I think it was a very well-organized speech, and I liked your topic a lot, so it was really good.
Yeah, we got a claim of fact here about women being discriminated against, and maybe a claim of policy about what we could do to change that would be helpful. There were a couple of things that I think were a little problematic. You used metaphors in the speech to organize a couple of points, the glass ceiling and the glass escalator. You know what? I've heard of the glass ceiling before. I generally know what that is, but I didn't think you explained it very clearly in the speech. And the glass escalator, I'm not sure I know what it means, and I know I still don't know what it means based on the terminology or the descriptions that you had here. I did know, though, that there was some good information about the average rates of pay that people have, but there's one point where you include a piece of information that seems to discount the notion that this is a result of discrimination or evaluation of women as inferior, and instead relates it to some other issues. You mentioned that women were more likely to leave the workplace for a period of time for health issues or child raising issues, those kinds of things. And so suddenly the question becomes, well, is this differential accounted for based on those kinds of sacrifices that somebody's making in that situation? I thought that there's an interesting argument that you've got in here that suggests that women get put into a particular track in the corporate system where they are not encouraged to be leaders, or they're not seen as leaders, or they are given administrative functions that don't require a particular kind of decision making, and maybe that ghettoizes the kind of leadership that they're able to exert. I think that argument could be developed a little bit more. On presentation, I thought you did a pretty good job with your voice. Your eye contact was better than it's been before. I think that you did a good job talking to the audience for the most part. There was one place where there was a little bit of awkwardness with the pronunciation of the word uniformly. It sounded a little strange. It sounded like you were saying uniformly, or something like it was. It just came across odd. You'll have to listen to it. But that wasn't a big deal in the speech, just something that I picked out. All right, thank you.